everybody, welcome to another episode of Badass Engineers. I'm Shrouk, an electronics engineering consultant and your host. Badass Engineers is always sponsored by Iris Grassroots Education, powering tech, empowering youth. Woo!
Woo!
And today I get to speak to one of my most amazing friends. Hello, Ella Podmore. Hi!
Hey, Shrouk! Thanks for having me. This is so cool.
Thank you so much for making time for me. Like, you're an incredible person. I don't think I can do like your intro justice. Could you introduce yourself to everybody?
Absolutely. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me on. I love this show. I love what it stands for. I love that you host it, and then we can actually have a professional but also a cute discussion.
It's just a catch up. I love it.
Yeah, I know. People are gonna be like, oh God, they know each other. So my name is Ella Podmore. I'm a senior materials engineer working for the luxury supercar brand McLaren Automotive. I'm a huge STEM advocate. Women in STEM is one of my passions. I've been in the industry about 5 to 6 years now, and you'll be seeing me pop up with lots of other things on my extracurricular activities. I've been really fortunate enough to have won Young Women Engineer of the Year, the IET Young Women Engineer of the Year in 2020, and yeah, the rest is history, really.
Ella, I didn't realize you've been in the industry just for 6 years and already have achieved like these incredible things. What? So you also forgot to say that you are MBE for your engineering achievements.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yes, that's incredible.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was last year. It was awarded, and I collected it only in this gone February. So I was at the Palace with Prince William, and that was a phenomenal experience. Kind of surreal.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, so wild. But I've only been associated, with the automotive industry about 6 years, and it's all I've ever known. I've come fresh from uni, straight into the automotive industry. It's felt like forever, but in a weird way, it's also flown like that, you know, how it goes both ways. And yeah, I've absolutely loved it.
Look, so I just want to chat to you, but you know how Badass Engineers works, and we have some questions in here. But I just want to ask you everything. By the way, anybody who's watching right now live, feel free to pop us any questions and we'll answer them live too. So are you ready for the first question from the bag?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, let's see. Oh, I am so in awe, Anna. I am so in awe. Okay, so what does this first question say? It says, topical. What was it like to receive your MBE? How does the entire process work?
It was if you planned this. This is so seamless. So MBE process, I got nominated by, it was McLaren, so the company I work for, they nominated me probably a year and a half before it was actually announced, which was so wild to me because I didn't even know it was happening. And I remember
they didn't tell you that they were nominating
you. They didn't tell me. No, they didn't tell me, which was such a shock, but also like amazingly special.
Nice.
And I got a letter through the post saying, you've been nominated for this, highly confidential, don't tell anyone. And I received it.
How long before?
For 2 months, I have to hold this a secret, and you basically have to either accept or decline. And I read it, and I was like, oh my goodness. And of course, the first thing, you know what I'm like as well, the first thing I want to do, I'd be like, oh my God, I need to tell everyone. So
I need to tell Shrouk.
I need to tell Shrouk and my mum. Oh my God. And so 2 months, my lips were sealed, and every time mum would be like, what's new with you? And I thought, bursting to tell her. And then of course it's all announced in the paper, and then the world just explodes.
So your mum didn't even know? Your mum knew when the world found out?
Yes, yeah, my mum knew when the world found out. I know, which is a lot, right? And then
no, but it's kind of cute to find out that way, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll tell your grandparents, you're like, oh, just buy a copy of the Telegraph and have a little look. So he's got these honours, and everyone was like, what? And then my ceremony was it was almost a year after it was announced in the paper due to COVID and stuff. But then, of course, that day is so special. They made me feel like I was the only one in the world receiving that award. It was done so well, and I had a great time at the Palace with my boyfriend and my parents. And yeah, got the little bags from Prince William.
I saw the pictures. They're amazing. And oh, we've got a LinkedIn comment saying, "Oh, Ella, I don't know how you held onto that for so long." I know.
Honey, I'm a gossip as well, so that was really painful. It was crazy.
I saw your dress. Was it the royal blue dress as well? Was that what you were wearing?
Yeah, it was a suit. It was a two-piece. Weirdly, I'm actually wearing the same color today. That's really weird. I don't know whether this is my theme now.
It's the vibe. That's the vibe we're here for. I mean, we're only here in MBE vibes only.
Only royal blue from now on.
Absolutely love it. Okay, let's see what else our bag says. Our bag says, "I'm gonna fall now." Okay, what does this one say? Ooh. This one says, "How did you have the idea to start the collective that is not that is not an..."
I was like, what have I started?
That's one of the older questions. Okay. Okay, guys, who's ever watching this live, this didn't happen. You saw nothing.
Seamless,
really well organized. Okay, so this one says, you started a department from scratch at McLaren Supercar Company. How did you do that?
So this was, I guess, a lovely combination of sort of good prep, but then also absolute luck, which I want to say, people, when you have on your journey in your career, you will always have some element of luck, and it will always come from a place where you're prepared, you're ready, right place, right time, right candidate, whatever it may be, but you've just literally got to ride that wave. And that was this kind of thing, right? So I wanted to be a materials engineer. I was studying materials engineering at university, and the time had come when I had to pick a placement company, and I never really sort of thought that I was going to go into the automotive industry, but I did enjoy cars, watched it on TV. It was an element of my childhood where I was like, yeah, okay, I was brought up around cars. It was a familiar comfort kind of thing. And when I was deciding which companies to apply to for my placement, I had this like big McLaren poster on my bedroom wall, and just because I wanted to own it, right? I wanted to own that McLaren P1. It was a sexy, gorgeous car. And I was like, one day I'm going to own this, blah, blah, blah. And I was filing off these applications, and I looked up at this poster, and I thought, well, why can't I combine those two passions? Why can't I apply for that company and actually work on those cars as well? And I wrote off a letter, and it went to their HR department, and they didn't have a materials engineering team. But
wait, so you created your own role? There wasn't a role there?
There wasn't a role. There wasn't a role. Honestly, Shrouk, I look back on this now and I'm like, that was ballsy. I don't know if I would have done that now.
Love it.
Like, but students, if you're listening, you've got nothing to lose, right? You have this phenomenal tool at your disposal called LinkedIn. You have every right to sort of send out these messages, reach out to your network, anyone you meet in person. And that's kind of what I did. And I wrote a letter, and they thought, okay, so she doesn't really have mechanical automotive experience, but she's passionate, she knows about cars, let's give her a shot. And long story short, had an interview. They gave me a 12-month engineering placement, which was kind of generic, but once you're in, and this is the beauty about placements, apprenticeships, experiences, whatever, once you're in, you can figure out what makes that company tick. And when I was there, I was thinking about all the material science related investigations that I could work on or take away, and there was one sort of golden ticket item that they don't have a materials faculty to focus on. So I was like, right, I really want to work for this company afterwards, so let me take this subject and work my master's thesis on it. And from then I was like, okay, if I come up with a solution for this, again, listen to ballsy me here, by the way.
Hang on. Let me just make you realize that you have a huge gap, and then let me go and study on that gap for a year, and I'll come and tell you what to do.
Come back, have a position. I don't need the job stress, and then Bob's your uncle. So yeah, that's what I did, man. It was a tough year, but I had a great, once you have university facilities at your disposal, all the equipment, I took away that problem, focused on it, and McLaren created the position of materials engineering, which is what I came into after university. And I've been in that position ever since. And since then, we've built the team of advanced materials, and that's where I am. That's where I will be. I absolutely love it, living my dream.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
of course you have all of these awards. That makes a lot of sense.
I can chat a lot, girl. That's what it is.
But you know what I love? Like people, like other young girls who'll come and speak to us, and we're just like them. We're just two normal, women. And I think it just shows people that, you could be somebody who's super approachable, who loves getting their nails done and their hair, and, loves going on holidays. And you can also create a department from scratch at, a huge company. That's just incredible.
Yeah, you hit it on the head there, Shrouk. Like, honestly, you do not have to change who you are to get into this industry. If anything, we want to celebrate that. We want to celebrate young girls and boys coming to us saying that, can I, have my nail extensions? Can I still work in a construction environment if I'm look like this, or these are what my hobbies? Of course you can. And it's that individuality that is the way that we're going to excel engineering in the UK as we know it. People with their different backgrounds, their different skill sets, and for some bizarre reason, engineering, STEM subjects, science, whatever, have this stigma associated with it that you have to be in high vises and hard hats. And don't get me wrong, hugely useful PPE, kids, don't sleep on it, but
don't skip on your PPE, everybody.
Oh my god, coming from Ella, can you imagine? Don't wear hard hats. No, it's hugely important, and everyone can enter the industry. And how broad it is, there's an engineering behind everything that you love, whether it is in textiles technology or medical sciences, if it's behind art, creativity. Like there's so many avenues out there, and the work that you and I love to do is to sort of make people realize what kind of opportunities they're out there, and you can have fun doing it. Look at us, this is work. Absolutely not.
Look at us with our nails on our labs, right? And our supercars.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I totally get what you're saying, and I totally agree with you that I think us being a little bit different could be sort of our strength, but at the same time, I do understand that people, see it as not really an easy route if you're a specific way, if you don't sort of fit the stereotype, and it does take somebody who wants to be themselves but also has a lot of confidence and has a lot of confidence in their own work, right? To keep being themselves and to not sort of fall under pressure to change and be like others. Have you ever felt that pressure yourself? Or
100%. 100%. You're absolutely right. We can talk about it and say that there is space for this, and it's an incredible environment to work at, but if you don't have confidence, and you don't have if you have imposter syndrome, you're constantly crippled by the sort of thinking about the decision you make, it is tough to do it. And I think I've talked about this so many times, with yourself, like at dinners or wherever we are. It's you do have a spotlight on you, and we can't say that that's not going to happen. All we can say is that you have to use it to your advantage. And that doesn't mean changing your persona to being the most confident person and having macho energy and being someone you're not. It doesn't mean that. I think deep down, it's that self-awareness and that self-confidence, which can only really come because people aren't born with that. That can only really come through putting yourself out there, learning how you operate, the experiences you put yourself through, and how you handle them. Like, I've had so many instances where being the only woman in the room, but then also being the only one of my technical profession in that environment. And that you doubt yourself, man. Like, you think, I'm young, I'm straight from uni, I'm making big boy decisions here. How's this gonna go? And you will have ups and downs. God, I've had to prove myself 10 times over through through whatever it may be. But that is the beauty of science and engineering. You know, I'm presenting the facts, and if you have to prove that with literature, or you have to prove that with combining with further tests or further experiments, results and stuff like that, that is the beauty of the environment that you are. So I always let the science do the talk.
I love it. I love it. I've never thought about it like that, because I do get annoyed at how much sort of harder I have to work to prove, you know, I do know what I know. But you're right, the facts are the facts. Once I, you know, show actually X plus Y equals Z, nobody can argue with that, right?
Exactly. And that's what I think, that's what I had as my coping mechanism when I was going through these instances where people were doubting what I was saying, or I wasn't confident in the things that I was presenting. I think that is what got me through. I was like, Ella, state the facts. If you have to prove it with another fact, state it. Like, state it. Yeah. And you know, that's why I chose engineering, because I'm not I'm not like the most creative, or like, you can still be creative, don't get me wrong, but you're not sort of inventing things or like opinions about things or stuff like that. The facts are the facts. Science is science, and that's kind of what gave me the confidence to present my solutions. And then when you do it a few times and you build up that reputation, it does get a lot easier. But you're absolutely right, having a spotlight on you in this kind of sector is difficult, but use it, queen. That's all I say.
Oh, use it, queen. I love it. And also we've got Zainab saying absolutely, and loads of exclamation marks. People really agree with you.
Oh, thanks, Zainab.
By the way, friends, I'm just repeating that again. If you're listening live, feel free to pop any questions in the comments and we'll answer them as soon as we can. Are you ready for another question from?
Yeah, let's get it.
Get it, girl. Get it.
This is so exciting. It makes me feel like I'm on like some sort of celeb chat show. It's like,
hopefully it's the right questions this time.
Yeah. Don't floor me now.
Okay, this one says, ooh, what made you choose the automotive industry? So I know you've touched a little bit about that earlier, and you said you basically didn't choose it, right? It chose you.
It chose me, yes. It called from my bedroom wall, like, come here. So automotive sector, now this can seem different, right, to what most people say, but I love everything engineering science gives me. I knew from an early age, fortunately, that I wanted to be in that sector where I was problem solving, contributing to industry and things like that. But when I was in school, I was like a big sportswoman, loved the whole competing, the team element of being part of something bigger, being part of like, you know, a team sport. That to me was like one of my biggest priorities behind all the school stuff. And when it came to the decision of, okay, I want to be an engineer, I didn't necessarily, the thing that got me into that wasn't necessarily the excitement of creating something functional that comes with it. It was more like, what could I do to be groundbreaking, or like looking at how, you know, people can shave seconds off lap times, or how you can create the lightest device ever, how you can create the strongest, most compatible thing, whatever solution it is. It was always like pushing the boundaries of something. And I think tracing that back and talking about it with the likes of yourself makes me think that I think I can trace that back to being like a sporty girl and thinking of how do I constantly improve and make something badass, sexy, really cool. And so that creeped into what I was studying. And in sixth form, when you'd have these little EPQ or final year projects, I always wanted to look at something that was pushing those boundaries. And I started to look at something called aerogel, which was this phenomenal material, the lightest material ever, that is basically like an exposed matrix that doesn't have all the other interior bonding in it, that allows it to consume less space, but then really also be super, super lightweight. And so that to me, I was like, wow, okay. And then started looking how that can cross over into performance element. And I was an F1 girl, watching F1.
Of course you were. Of course you were. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Again, it wasn't on my radar to work in, which is so bizarre. But it was just something, a sport that I enjoyed watching. And that performance element for me is kind of where the passion and the subject choices started to overlap. And I thought, right, I'm gonna want to work in a performance environment, something that gave me that feedback that I got from sport, but then also gave me that element of like, I'm working towards something that's luxurious or something that's glamorous. And I don't know, that's kind of what spurred me into it. And of course McLaren ticked all those things, and
of course,
the automotive industry is one thing. Oh, there you are. The automotive industry is one thing, but then working in the supercar element of that was just like something I could look at the product now and I'm like, oh yes, I would own that. I would do that. Or we made that the fastest car in the world, you know, stuff like that. And that's kind of where I've ended up in the sector that I am today.
Wow. And it is so incredible. Like one of my favorite feelings as an engineer is seeing something on the market and being like, I made that.
I know. I know. How incredible is that feeling, right?
I love it. I love it. Especially like if it's, you know, a car that people drive, you know, like, wow. By the way, do you know the car you drive? Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, exactly. And for people who want to get into that sort of manufacturing side, but then also engineering side, like there is that moment is probably one of the best parts of my job, just like you're saying with the products that you feature in and all the incredible life-changing impacts that you're able to make. When I get that same feeling when we launch a car and it goes to the press, and so all these journalists suddenly get their hands on it and they do videos, and your whole feed is like consumed with the car and how it's being reviewed and these celebrities owning it and everyone just like having these enormous grins on their face and like, wah, wah, wah. And I'm like, oh my God, I did
that. That is so cool. I'm just looking at the time and I know that you have to go because you're working today. Thank you for giving up some of your time today. Do I have time for another question, do you think?
Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh, anything for you, Shrouk.
Guys, this is like totally off script. I'm interested. So you do material science. How has that changed the technologies, the cars that you help create?
So amazing question to finish on. So material science, obviously I'm going to be biased, guys, but material science for me, I think is going to be so groundbreaking to every engineering sector that we have currently in the UK. And if you think about the heart of everything that is manufactured, everything, right, is made out of something. So when we start to get to an area of science where we're really having to push the lightweighting, we're really having to make batteries more compact, we're really having to make things stronger or last longer or be recyclable and things like this, everyone is going to start to look towards materials. And that's what I'm starting to find in the automotive industry at the moment. We've gone from a phase where, you know, we didn't have a McLaren division to a materials division at McLaren, to a stage where everything is going to have to be super lightweight when we talk about battery technology, electrification, autonomous technologies. Everything's going to have to get smaller, more lightweight, compact. We're tracing the sustainability pathway of all materials. Everything is going to kind of come down to that kind of science. And so day to day, I'm always looking at, yes, that recyclability element. How can we design a pathway for every material we put on the car so it's disposed of correctly? But then also, what are the cutting edges of this type of science? What is going to be the lightest alloy that's going to give us the best power to weight ratio? How are we going to store these enormous battery packs that are going to give us the range that we need in a safe condition, and they're not going to interfere with the ergonomics of the car? Like, everything is going to start to get atomic, and I think material science is going to lead that next revolution. So I'm so gassed to be part of it.
Incredible. And you know what, like, it's so clear from the way you talk about it that yes, it's achieving all of this incredible technologies in supercars, but I can see how that literally applies to everything in my industry, the electronics industry or the medtech industry. So I think I'll be calling you very soon.
Yes, maybe we'll even have a partnership, work on something together. That would be wild.
I mean, I'm interested. You've seen it here first, everybody.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much, Ella. Yes, we will take over the queens of engineering. I am here for it. Thank you so much for giving up your time today. I know you're working and you've given up some of your lunch to speak to me. So honestly, thank you so much. And of course, thank you to everybody who's been listening to us and sending us live comments, and the people who watch the edited videos too. And thank you, of course, to RS Grassroots Education for powering tech and empowering youth, empowering this podcast. So I'll see you, everybody, on the next episode of Badass Engineers. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. We're going to have to say bye for a long time because it takes a minute.